Hi there, in this video we're going to be looking at how you as an admin user can ensure that your team and importantly your players can make use of the highlights feature. The highlights tool is really intended for players, as admin users you have presentation windows and abilities to bring together clips from different areas, and that will be covered in a different video. But today we're going to look at the highlights and how you firstly enable your players to start using that tool, and then some things to bear in mind. So if you already have videos on your platform, you will have to, for all of those, edit them to ensure that players can start creating highlights on them. So for example, this video here, if I hover over it and press the edit button, when I come down here I see a highlights section, and this is where I can then press create, which will mean that any users who now have access to that video will be able to create their own highlights on that video. So with your videos that are uploaded, and until you change the default setting, which I'm going to show you, you have to manually press this create button to enable players to start making highlights on your videos. So let's press create there. Something else is that you might have some videos where you've already pressed create on them, for example, but you've then since changed the sharing access. Obviously, the only people that can review the video that you've uploaded are people that you share access to. And let's say on day one you share access to 3 players, and then you'd press the create button so they can go and add some highlights. But the next day you enable 2 more people to have access to that video. Until you come and then press this update button, those people who have now got access to the video won't be able to create highlights until you press this. Obviously, the final option we have is delete, which just removes all the highlights that have been created on that video. Something important to bear in mind here, let's take a look at that video again, is when we come down here and look at the sharing option. Okay, so I've shared this to everyone because remember, nobody can see a video or use it as a player until you've given them access to review. If I removed access for a player, the highlights that they've created on that video would then be deleted. So if you are coming here, removing access to someone and then updating, they will lose the highlights that have been created. You have an announcement about that here. Obviously, if you delete the video, then all the highlights are also deleted. So just bear that in mind when you're creating your videos, uploading and giving share and access in regards to the highlights. But something that you can do is come up here to the top right, press this settings option, and in this pop-up window, tick enable highlight creation. That will mean that from now on, any video which is uploaded will automatically enable the highlights feature. So you don't have to go in and edit and let highlight lists be created. If this is ticked on, any video that goes up, all of your players, all of your users will be able to create highlights straight away. So this is a really useful setting for you. So let's take a look at the highlights tool. Obviously there is a video that we've created about how players would use Sharimg, the platform, and on that we go into more detail about creating highlights. But what we're going to do now is just cover the things that you can do as an admin user. So as a reminder, we've got our playback tools of the clicking options here, but I can press spacebar to play and pause. I can press right on my arrow key to jump forward 5 seconds and left to jump back 5 seconds. And that's the same if I'm playing or pausing. I have my playback speed here that I can click and change these. 1 speed is normal. You can change those settings by pressing B on your keyboard and V on your keyboard. So V to change the speed down, B to go up. It's the same controls as in the Mac Sport software. You can just click on this button to start recording and register. It marks the in time. And then when you click again, it marks the out time. You have to put a name in for the clip. And if you wanted to put some notes, you can type some notes here. And then to create that clip, you press add. Another shortcut that you have is if you press I, think of in, it's the same as on Mac Sport. That's going to start a register. And then if you press O, think of that as out, you can set an end time. So this is where you could use your playback controls to jump back and forward with your right and left keys, and I've pressed O there to set the end time. So I is in time, O is out time. I might change the name of this again or keep it the same one. So then I've got two different clips that have come here. So I can create highlights as an admin, but remember the point of the highlights tool is for our players to go and create their own highlights. If you do create something as an admin, you've got a couple of different places you can send those clips to. More often than not, you're going to be sending them to a presentation window, and in another video we're going to look at all the options you've got there. But you can actually send these clips to a player's highlights, which is their own individual area. The important thing to bear in mind there is that a player has to start the highlighting process. So you as an admin user can't send highlights that you've created to a player's highlights list for this game unless they have already gone to this game and started creating their own highlights. So let's press send here. The options which we'll explore later on is I can create a brand new presentation online, or I could create a brand new list for an existing presentation, or I can add these clips to an existing list in a presentation or highlights. So if I press this option here, I could work on presentations, select a presentation and a list to add these clips to. But if I now go to highlights, when I press select a list, I can add them to my own highlights for this video, or this is my player user. The reason I can select this person here is because they have already created their own highlights on this video. So that's an important thing to know there. So let's send those highlights to that player. So when it comes to reviewing highlights, I come up here to the presentation button and I select down to highlights. What you can do here is start filtering what you want to see. This first box basically changes what you see on the left side. So these two columns are the important things for you, and the way you want to work that suits best, you would change these up. So I could, for example, just go and look at all the highlights from this game. So I tick box here, and then I can press view clips, and I would see all the highlights created by every single user for this game. Alternatively, I could select just a user, for example here, and press view clips. Then I see all the highlights created by this user across different games. So I can see two different videos here. Or I could go really specific and say this video and this user. So then I'm only seeing this user's clips from this game. So you can use your filter options up here. The other thing you have also is that, for example, that Huddersfield video, we enabled highlights to be created, but nothing's been created there. So if I untick view values 0, I only see videos or users who have actually created some highlights. So that's just another filtering process to help you work quicker. So let's go again and look at, let's filter by users, and I'm going to select this user here and press view clips. So that's this user's clips from all the different videos. An important part you can see here is who's added the clips. So S1 is the player in this example, A1 is my admin account. So those two clips that I just created when we're in the highlights, I can see those here. So I've shared them to this player's highlights. So when they go to review those highlights, they'll be able to see these clips, and any notes that you've typed on them, they'll be able to review back here. And they can see that it's been added by an admin because they come here, and obviously you'd have your name showing. What you can do here as the admin, if you've created these clips, you can select a clip, press the options, and then edit that clip. So you can change the name, change the notes, change some colors of it as well. So you can apply those edits, and you can also delete that clip from the highlights. But you cannot delete or edit another person's clips. And that's the same for players. So a player wouldn't be able to go on and delete or edit the clips that you've added for them. Now, something else that you can do from these highlights is you can take some clips. Let's say my players picked out these few clips, which I think are useful. I can select those three, press the options button here, and then I can build a new presentation with this online, create a new list in an existing presentation, or add these clips to an existing list in an existing presentation. So you've got some really useful options for taking the clips that your players are creating and then adding to existing presentations or building new presentations as well. And again, all of these options are going to be explored in another video where we really look at the different ways that you can add to a presentation window, then the important things you have to do, bearing in mind about how to share that presentation window so others can see it.